Greetings from the East Africa Philanthropy Network. My name is Purity Momo, and these are the Ubuntu stories of impact. So faith-based giving, often an unheralded but vital part of philanthropy, has a deep impact on communities, especially when channeled through dedicated organizations like the African Enterprise in Rwanda. This organization stands as a shining example of how faith-inspired efforts can extend well beyond just spiritual support, but to addressing critical societal issues and fostering community development. At the forefront of this impactful work is Mr. John Kalenzi, whose leadership has guided the African Enterprise in not only evangelizing, but in engaging in peace building, reconciliation, and youth empowerment. It is such a privilege to have Mr. John Kalenzi join us in this platform today. Welcome, sir, and good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
Welcome to the European Member Summit. Welcome to Nairobi, and welcome to the Ubuntu Stories of Impact. Kindly introduce yourself and the work that you do at the African Enterprise.
Thank you, Purity. I'm John Kalenzi, and I'm the Country Director of African Enterprise Rwanda. And what we do is actually helping people get themselves out of the poverty. Basically, that's what we do.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. John, for that introduction. Could you share with us the vision behind the African Enterprise in Rwanda and how it aligns with the broader development goals?
Well, thank you so much, Purity. Our vision as African Enterprise Rwanda for every Rwandan is transformation in all its fullness. So that's our vision. That's what we work for. And that's what we are trying to achieve. And how does it align with the global development goals? Well, transformation is actually all that development players aim to achieve. And that's where the alignment is.
Okay, great. And in the context of Rwanda's complex history, how has the mission of the African Enterprise evolved to address the specific needs and challenges of the community?
Well, that's a very good question. African Evangelistic Enterprise or African Enterprise Rwanda has actually evolved over time. We started with emergency relief in 1994 and 95, 96, when genocide against Tutsi had just come to an end.
Okay.
So people were stranded, and we were trying to really help them with different items.
Okay.
But as time went by, we actually moved from emergency relief to sort of improvement. So like instead of helping people get some food or helping people get some shelter, you kind of help them do things that will actually make them become sort of self-sustaining. And then we also moved from just individuals to communities. So we've been moving from one step to another depending on how situation evolved. So that's how I would say that the African Enterprise has been changing. And just to make it more concrete, we started by focusing on the output. For example, we'll say how many children have we supported, how many women have we supported, how many schools have we contributed to, how many water points have we contributed to. And so that was the output. And because that is what actually was needed. But as time went by, as situation changed in Rwanda, we had to move on from just counting to measuring. So we are like, okay, we are not only interested in contributing to certain initiatives, we are also interested in making some positive changes that we can really see. And of recent, we've kind of moved our focus from the output to outcome, because we really want to see positive changes in the communities, not just, paying tuition fees for the children, or not just constructing schools, because we don't construct schools per se. We want these schools to become tools to change people's lives.
Great to know. And speaking about the specific work you're doing, how has the impact been so far?
Well, I would say actually the impact has been huge because first of all, we we have an approach that is dubbed transformational development approach. And basically what that means is that instead of focusing on one issue, like instead of focusing on education or instead of focusing on WASH, you focus on a number of issues that are connected, which actually affect poor people. And when you look into different things that we've done, if you look into schools that we've constructed ever since the genocide came to an end, we've constructed close to 130 fully-fledged schools. And all those schools are running, they are up and running, there are so many kids who are there, the teachers are there, and you would actually say that's an impact, because if, for example, if a school was constructed in 1998 and up to date is still running and the children have completed and others have joined, and so that's an impact. If you go in places where we've helped community members get some water, some clean water, and maybe a water tap was installed like 15 years ago, and if you go there today, you see the water tap is still running, and of course a few things have broken, but community members have been able to fix them. So I would say in all the sectors where we are working, because we are in livelihood, we are in education, we are in WASH, we are in child rights protection, we are in advocacy, and I would say really we've kind of made an impact. Of course, there is a long way to go, but I would say we can count close to 360,000 households that have actually been able to move from one step to another. And they would say, well, if it wasn't African Enterprise, we wouldn't have been where we are today. Right. So that's an impact that we are not saying we've reached where we want to be, but at least there are some signs of transformation that we are kind of happy about.
What are the specific programs that the African Enterprise runs in Rwanda?
Well, like I was telling you, we have decided to adopt a transformational development approach, whereby we don't simply say we are focusing on one thing. Okay. Because if you are helping communities to develop themselves, then you don't simply say that I'm going for water or I'm going for education, because our target group is youth, children and women, and they are faced with different issues. So what we've done, we've actually decided to go for some sectors, not just one sector. So we are in WASH. So we help communities to deal with issues that are affecting them in the area of WASH, water, sanitation and hygiene. We are in economic empowerment. So we help women and youth to do some businesses and help them to get involved into value chain initiatives and agriculture initiatives and other things that are related. And we are also in education, because we construct schools, but we also have sponsorship for the children. So we have anyway, to cut the long story short, we have education, we have health and sanitation, we have livelihood, and then we have discipleship and the evangelism, and we have rights-based approach that cuts across.
Okay. I'm very interested with the last focus area, that is discipleship and evangelism, and I requested you before, make sure before you leave this room you evangelize on the two characters that I have in this room.
Thank you.
Yeah, please do. Make sure you do.
Thank you.
Okay. So what are the unique approaches or methodologies the African Enterprise Rwanda employs in its evangelistic and community work that sets it apart from other organizations?
Well, I think I would say one of our uniqueness is that we work with churches. So we believe that the church is an entity that has the capacity to foster transformation. So all we do it through and with the churches.
Okay.
That is one uniqueness about African Enterprise. Okay. We work with churches to promote social and spiritual transformation.
Okay.
But secondly, we are community based. So we run programs and projects that are community initiated and that respond to community issues.
Okay.
Because we want to start where people are and then help them move to another level. So I would say, well, we are community based. We work with churches, and we also try to make sure that we leave nobody behind. So our approach is integrated, is holistic.
Amazing. So, can you share maybe an in-depth case study or a story that exemplifies the work of the African Enterprise in Rwanda?
Well, there are so many case studies, but maybe in the interest of time, I will just say a few.
One. Just one.
Okay.
Yeah.
One is that I told you we work with the livelihood and resilience.
Sure.
And we helped community members who were extremely poor get together and address the issues that are affecting them in a particular area. And one of the issues, of course, is poverty. Another issue is the divisionism and the disunity and other things and mistrust. And so they decided and said, okay, we are going to put together some money and then be able to resolve the issues that we are facing in terms of economic empowerment. And as a result of their savings, they saved and also encouraged other people that were in their neighborhood to save. And they ended up starting a community microfinance. And that community microfinance reached a point of being accredited by the National Bank of Rwanda. So to us, that's something that we are proud of. And of course, we are proud of the people that have been on the forefront of that initiative.
Amazing. And what are the strategies and initiatives that the African Enterprise has in place to support and empower the youth and the children of Rwanda?
Well, thank you so much for the question. First of all, Rwanda is an interesting country because majority of our population are young. Over 60% of our population are below 35 years of age. So what are we doing? Of course, Rwanda being a landlocked country, being a very tiny country, the major thing that one can think of to help young people, help children and youth is education and skills development. So we are involved in helping children from poor families to go to school through scholarship, but also through school construction and equipping those schools and even training teachers. So education is one thing that we are doing to help young people and the youth, become responsible citizens. The second thing we are doing is mentorship, because we help the young people, we help the children, help the youth get some opportunities, that can inspire them. Like I will give an example. We have a program that is called Coaching Boys into Men, and it's like you look for men that had financial and social issues some time back, and they've gone over them and they've become responsible and they've didn't made it in life, and then you attach some youth to those men. And we also do the same, coaching girls into women, and so that's mentorship. But also in terms of economic empowerment, you identify somebody who has been successful in business, and then you attach a group of 3 girls or group of 3 boys to him or her, so that he or she can coach them. That's mentorship. The third thing that we are doing is actually creating some safe space for the young people, where they can come and share their concerns and also share their experiences. And of course, we try to teach the young people about their rights and encourage them to stand for their rights. And we have discipleship, of course, because for us as a Christian organization, we believe that after this life, there is another life. And people have to be given some chance, some opportunities to make right choices. We don't force people to become Christians. We don't force people to believe that there is life after death, but at least to give them the chance to appreciate, and those who feel like, embracing it, they do. Then finally, we do advocacy, because, there are some issues that are affecting the young people that need to be challenged. there are some unjust structures that need to be challenged. Like I was talking about the gender-based violence, the undermining the girl child and so forth. Those are some of the things that we do to support children and youth.
Great to know. And given the Rwanda's past history, what role has the African Enterprise Rwanda played in fostering peace building, reconciliation, and healing among different communities?
Well, one thing that we did is to actually encourage the population, encourage the people, the Rwandans, to embrace the policies that are related with unity and reconciliation.
Great.
Because, after the genocide, people, were confused and they were pointing fingers, and even they had mistrust in the government and so forth. So we as a community-based organization, but we also, which has some sort of reputation, we've gone throughout the country encouraging people and sensitizing people to embrace the policies that are related with unity and reconciliation, because that's a moral responsibility if we are to develop and become stable. So that is one thing that we've done. But the second thing we've done is that as a Christian organization, we've done lots of training of church leaders, lots of training for the government people to heal the wounds that were caused by the genocide against the Tutsi. So we've done a lot of trauma healing sessions across the country. And of course, we are involved in the poverty alleviation. So poverty is one thing that can actually hinder healing and reconciliation, because if I had 5 children and they were all killed, and I'm here as a widow and I have nobody to help me, it is very hard for me to forgive whoever killed my children. It is very hard for me to live in harmony with that very person. But when you help this poor widow to deal with the poverty issues, then in a way you are actually fostering or you're promoting unity and reconciliation.
In your experience, Mr. John, what have been the most effective methods or programs for achieving reconciliation and community healing in Rwanda?
Thank you so much. Actually, this is my thinking actually from the experience.
Okay.
I think one reason as to why reconciliation or unity and reconciliation have been possible in Rwanda is that the government took the lead. Okay. Because it is the government that messed up people. It is the government that encouraged people to kill each other, and it was very good for the new government to actually take the lead to rectify that situation. So making sure that this time around nobody is going to go to school because of where he or she comes from. Nobody is going to get a job because of he or she where he comes from. So saying, okay, everybody is going to get everything on merit. I think that was one thing. So I would say government taking the lead to promote reconciliation, to promote unity is one thing that actually made us progress. Secondly, the government, the reconciliation process in Rwanda was did not leave anybody behind. So the reconciliation was not targeting those who were victims of the genocide against Tutsi and leaving behind those people who perpetuated genocide against Tutsi. No, it was an approach that was actually very inclusive. The government would help the perpetrators of genocide, but at the same time help the victims of the genocide. So I think government taking the lead was very good, but also encouraging even the civil society, encouraging the churches, encouraging individuals to come on board and walk the journey together is another thing that helped the unity and reconciliation process in Rwanda to become possible.
Wonderful. Do you want to discuss with us about the role that the African Enterprise is taking in shaping the Rwanda's narrative post-genocide, especially in terms of community rebuilding and restoring faith?
Well, let me begin with the last aspect. The
should be your most favorite.
Yes, it is actually.
Okay.
It is because healing is an issue of the heart. It is not something that can happen mechanically. So what are we doing as African Enterprise to actually restore faith or promote unity and reconciliation through faith? One thing is actually to correct our faith background, because what happened in Rwanda is that when the Belgians sort of coerced the king to be baptized, then the king kind of encouraged everybody to be baptized, and to us, baptism was synonymous with Christianity. So whoever was baptized was called a Christian. And this is why, even in a country where over 90% of the population were Christians, we had genocide against Tutsi, because people had no connection with God. And this is what we are actually trying to change. We are trying to make sure that people have a connection, a personal connection with God. Because when you have a connection with God, then you know what is right and what is wrong, and nobody can come and tell you that, you know, if you kill Purity, then you will inherit her car. So that will not happen. So I guess we are now focusing so much on discipleship, not just preaching, but discipling people to become proper disciples. That is one thing we are doing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we are doing to change the narrative is actually to promote education that is sort of runner-centered. Because our education, again, was very hopeless. It's an education that was kind of training people to reproduce whatever the professors give them. So our education was not helping people to become innovative, to become creative, to become critical. And this is why somebody would come and tell a human medicine doctor that, you know, your wife is a snake. This is a wife that you've been married with for the last 15 years, you have 3 children, but you have this misconception that your child is a human being, because it takes the group of the father, the blood group of the father, and then the mother is a snake. Why? Because the education was also hopeless. And we are working with other development players and trying to really promote that education that helps people to become creative, that helps people to become innovative, that helps people to become, critical kind of. So, but at the same time, we are helping people to know that, you know, if we really have to be stable as a country, we have to look at each other as a resource, not as a competitor or not as a hindrance.
Great. That's really incredible, Mr. Kalenzi. And looking towards the future, what are the main goals and objectives of the African Enterprise in Rwanda for the coming years?
That's an interesting question again.
Yeah.
Our main goal as an organization is to keep helping churches and local organizations to we actually want to keep on empowering churches and local organizations to help people, poor people, lift themselves out of poverty.
Great.
And poverty from all perspectives. And our objectives is to ensure that we kind of reproduce ourselves. Instead of us, constructing schools, instead of us, helping women, poor women, get together and do some savings and improve their agriculture and do different things. We actually empower other local organizations that are not of our caliber. And because as we work across the country and we are relatively big, so we are like, okay, instead of doing things that other people can do, doing things that other organizations can do, why don't we select a few community-based organizations in each and every district and then empower them and kind of give them the mandate to do some of the work that we've been doing. So we want to kind of move from implementation, from the doing ourselves, and then we facilitate other organizations do some of the work that we've been doing. And that also goes to churches. Instead of us, training pastors, instead of us mobilizing intercessors, instead of us training the youth, why don't we empower the churches to actually do that kind of work?
Yeah.
So that's what we are envisioning.
Okay. And how do you plan to adapt and expand your services to meet the ever-evolving needs of those communities that you care for?
Of course, we know that the major resource we have as an organization is our people. And we want to really ensure that our people have the cutting edge. So we want to keep on training our people. We want to keep on challenging our staff. We want to provide opportunities for them to do further studies. We want to provide opportunities for them to, get more experience, get information about best practices, do the benchmarking, and so forth. And of course, as an organization, we want to be a running organization. A running organization so that we are able to respond to ever-changing needs in the community.
Great. Are there any upcoming collaborations, partnerships, or new initiatives that you're particularly excited about?
Well, I'm actually excited about this East Africa Philanthropy network. Yeah. Because to be honest, I'm not so much familiar with it, and when I heard about it, I thought it is an initiative that can be very rewarding. Yeah. And so I'm very excited about it.
You attended the launch of the Rwanda Philanthropy Forum?
Unfortunately, I was invited, but I was not in the country by that time.
Okay.
But I read about it and got information about what happened.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm really very excited about it because I see it as an opportunity for learning, for sharing information, for partnership, for even advocacy, because like I was talking about advocacy, you can't challenge the unjust structures when you're a single organization.
You cannot. You can't. That's true. And welcome to EAPN, talking about the East Africa Philanthropy Network. On behalf of everyone, I welcome you to the family.
Thank you so much.
So to conclude, what message or vision would you like to share with our audience about the future of community development and spiritual growth?
Well, I think the future of community development, I'm sure this is not something that is new. Yeah. But this is a decade for networking. And for sure, no single organization can be able to respond to all the community issues. So if you want to remain effective and if you want to keep on making an impact in the communities where we work, we need to work with each other and make sure that we do more with less. When it comes to the spiritual growth, I think one thing I would share is that evangelism is a call for every Christian. And this is a decade for one-on-one evangelism. The story of mass evangelism is a story of the past.
Thank you very much, John.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to talk to us today. Welcome to the East Africa Philanthropy Network Members Summit, and welcome to Nairobi. Is this your first time in Nairobi?
No, I always come to Nairobi actually. Almost every 2 months I'm in Nairobi.
Yeah. Okay, that's amazing. It's been one of the most interesting and amazing conversations I've had today. And thank you very much for watching this episode. My name is Purity Momo. These are the Ubuntu Stories of Impact. See you at the next episode.